NFL draft, and with the first round pick, Deion Sanders. I was kind of scared. I thought the show was going to take me. I would have asked so much money that I had to put my layaway. Welcome back to the NFL draft. The young players want the draft all back. Year in and year out.
Hey, folks, welcome to another edition of the NFL Draft Insiders. I'm Oren Sheary, joined by my two co-hosts, Trent Davis and Michael Gartman. Yes, we are all back and excited about the show today. We have an exciting guest to join us in about a half an hour or so. One of the draft picks out of today's draft, a wide receiver, Dayvon Ross. Yes, he'll be joining us later in the show. Well, there's some spicy news and rumors around as all the 32 NFL teams prepare for the NFL draft coming in May 8th, about 22 days to be exact. So get ready for that. At the same time, free agents are still finding new places to work at, and other teams are looking for trading partners for the upcoming draft. So we'll discuss a lot of these things, the latest things going on, and give you our perspectives about the NFL draft and some of the teams, what signings they made this offseason, and what pickups they might have in the NFL draft. We'll give you an overview of about 3 or 4 teams, one of them being the Niners and the others being the Raiders on the western side of things, and then we'll probably pick up and talk about the Jets and the Redskins, since both of them are making some interesting moves as of late. Trent, how you doing today? Hello?
I'm doing good. How about you, Oren? Sorry.
It's okay. So, on the talk about the Redskins, what have they done? They bring in a new coach this offseason. RG3's coming off an injury. They also have, right now, just last week, signed Deshaun Jackson. How do you think that team is going to look in the NFC East?
Well, I think the Deshaun Jackson definitely helps to solidify that offense. And if RG3 can be the RG3 he was in his rookie year, I think that without a doubt, honestly, I would have picked the Redskins to win that division over the Cowboys, and then definitely over the Eagles. Personally, I don't know. I think the Eagles would be a close contender for second place with Nick Foles, but I think the Redskins are just a more well-rounded team all around.
About that trade, Mike, what do you feel that they made the right move by getting rid of Jackson and moving him to the Redskins?
Truth be told, we won't really know for a while. I get why the Eagles did it, since Deshaun Jackson became such a distraction in their eyes, at least. And plus his cap number was ridiculously high. So they made the move. It was kind of inevitable, but the timing was a little unexpected. And as for the Redskins, I think they made a good move picking him up, giving RG3 another really competent weapon opposite Pierre Garçon, who had a terrific 2013 campaign. So it adds another dimension to the Redskins' offense. And the Eagles still have plenty of weapons on offense with Jeremy Maclin and the other guy whose name I've suddenly forgotten.
Shady.
Yeah. No, Shady, the other receiver.
Right?
LaShawn McCoy?
No. The other receiver opposite. Jeremy Maclin.
Jeremy Maclin, yeah. His name, yeah. Epic.
So
Riley Cooper.
Yeah. Thank you, Riley Cooper. So the Eagles still have plenty of weapons. I think they'll be fine. They may even look to find his replacement with a guy like Brandon Cooks in the draft. So they still have plenty of options. So this division's definitely wide open.
Yeah, it's definitely. Do you think have the Redskins improved a big deal by this move? They got a new coach, like I told Trent earlier, or RG3
right.
still coming from his injury. What other dimensions does the Redskins need to add, maybe, from the draft, or do they still need to pick up a couple of little veterans to make this team a little bit better?
I think that question is for you, Mike.
Oh, I thought it was towards you. Yeah, I mean, the Redskins still have some holes to address. Really, I honestly can't remember what all their needs they haven't addressed yet. But, I mean, I would say they're probably in the middle of the pack right now in that division. I don't see them quite as the front runner. I like the move that the Giants made, bringing in several corners there to kind of defend some of these new receivers. So what do you think?
What do you mean? Well,
yeah.
I mean, in the draft, I need to build a little bit more of the defense. You can always help your offensive line get a little bit stronger. So the secondary wasn't as strong as it could be last year, so those are some of the moves that Redskins can pick up. As far as that, they don't have a first round. Do they try to get into the first round? They don't have. They're still only like 3 picks away in the first round. Maybe they try to get into the first round somehow. Does anybody see that happening?
No, I don't think that's smart. I mean, they traded away 2 of their first-round picks just a couple years ago to get RG3, and then they'd be trading away their second-rounder and, possible future second-rounder / third-rounder. No, they need to stack draft picks because they need help, at, like you said, in the secondary on defensive end and linebacker. Their defense was, their defense is where they really struggled last year, and that's where they're going to need to solidify through the draft, since they haven't done that through free agency.
Right.
Yeah, and there really is no stout defensive players left through via free agency.
Yeah, they definitely still need to upgrade the secondary, and as you said, find a pass rushing complement to Brian Arakpo would be a wise move too. So I think they should probably stockpile and even trade down a little bit. But it depends. They've got several needs to address, but I like the move to get Deshaun Jackson.
Well, what do you think Jay Gruden could bring to the Redskins dimension this offseason? Does he have a way to make that a different team than it was with Shanahan?
I'm not sure here.
It's interesting.
Go ahead, either one of you.
Yeah, Gruden finally gets his chance to be a head coach because he's been an offensive coordinator for a while now, and everybody kind of expected him to make that transition this year. I'm not exactly sold on how well some of these head coaching hires will go, but, he seems like a pretty smart move. I think he'll be able to make the offense gel with the weapons they have now. Assuming they can get a right tackle in the draft or later in free agency sometime this offseason, because they do need to find a right tackle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a couple of free agents still available that are worth taking a chance on. I do see some teams still trying to find the right fit for them because they're not. Some of these people are not that old, where they can get a job and be make some type of impact on a team.
Absolutely.
Yes. And I do see some of that happening. Like we did see signing of today, we're going to move to our next team. So we saw today Chris Johnson, running back, who formerly was with the Titans, is now with the Jets. And does that make an impact for the Jets?
Absolutely. He's 28 now, so he doesn't have a whole lot left in the tank, I wouldn't think. But I'd say he has more left than, say, Maurice Jones-Drew. And Chris Johnson can kind of be that speedy change of pace complement to Ivory with the Jets. And so the Jets still have plenty of problems on both sides of the ball. But I think it was a good move. They didn't spend a whole lot of money. I think it was $8 million. It's a 2-year deal. So he kind of adds a change of pace player right there for the Jets, and another weapon for Geno Smith and or Michael Vick.
Honestly, I think it was a good signing. I think they picked him up strictly for the passing game, and maybe as every once in a while they'll get the old Chris Johnson and he'll have a breakaway run, But he hasn't had very many over the past 2 years, and I know personally because I don't know my fantasy team and I've watched him every week not run for very many yards. But that being said, he's at a little over 1,700 carries for his career, and once running backs hit about 2,000, they start to plateau. So, I don't really think, even though he is kind of young as far as the running backs go, I don't think he has much left in the jetpack there. But I think it's still a good sign.
What other needs do the Jets need to select this offseason, maybe grab some of these guys in the draft? They do have the 18th pick overall in the NFL draft in May. Do you see them, everybody has a lot of, I shouldn't say everybody, but a majority of people have them selecting a wide receiver in the first round.
Or tight end, right. And I think it's because, offense is definitely where they struggled last year. In big part being because of Geno Smith, and, he was, as a first-year quarterback. And obviously they picked up Michael Vick, and so we'll see how that all pans out in the offseason and during training camps and OTAs coming up here pretty soon. But I think they're definitely going to take a tight end or a wide receiver, and I think with their first 2 picks. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, definitely going to be targeting wide receiver, tight end in the first round. It looks like, I would say they're probably either going to take Brandon Cooks out of Oregon State, Eric Ebron out of North Carolina, if he makes it that far, which is uncertain at this point, or Odell Beckham out of LSU. Those seem like the best fits for the Jets. The addition of Eric Decker definitely gives the Jets something to work with, gives Geno and Michael Vick something to work with, but they still need to improve there, and they obviously still have a hole to fill in the secondary and at linebacker. But I would say the Jets are one of the more improved teams through free agency.
Yeah, the Jets did do a lot in free agency as well, and they can also, I think, use some help on the offensive line, which I think a lot of teams need help on the offensive line, but that can be due to the quarterback. But if you even put Michael Vick in the backfield, he's going to have to do just about the same thing, and he might be, even if he's aging, he might be more mobile than Geno Smith. So
absolutely.
So we don't know exactly how that's going to fit, but I think I'm not saying I really don't see the way Geno Smith participated last few seasons. I don't see him starting if that were to happen.
Well,
I don't think so either. I think Michael Vick will take that job.
Even if he does, though, he's not going to keep it because he's going to wind up injured at some point. I mean, really, he ends up injured every year now. So, it might have been a smart move.
Might win the job. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, it was probably a smart move to go out and get him, to bring in a challenger for Geno Smith. But Michael Vick won't be starting every game this year.
No, and to Mike's credit, he's only started one full season his entire career, Michael Vick, that is, so.
Now here's a twist. I heard this news report is, they just just signed their running back, and now they're bringing in Sidney Rice. He's been medically cleared. He's still a young receiver, and
I'll cut you off. The Seahawks.
He can add a new dimension to the wide receivers.
The Seahawks just re-signed Sidney Rice just now.
Oh, just now. Oh, speak of me.
per Adam Schefter, they just re-signed him on a 1-year deal.
Okay. Well, folks, you got updated news right here. Sidney Rice signs how many year deal?
Just a 1-year deal.
1-year deal with the New York Jets. And, maybe they skip on the wide receiver. Maybe they take Eric Ebron and it's a tight end. So we'll see.
I think you misunderstood me. He re-signed with the Seahawks.
Oh, he did re-sign with the Seahawks.
Yeah, he visited the Jets, but they couldn't come to terms, and he came to terms with the Seahawks on a 1-year deal.
Oh, well, that's part of life.
Right.
All right. Well, my misconception, signs with Seattle Seahawks a 1-year deal. So really now, as the two top wide receivers in free agency, I don't know if they're top tier receivers, but you see aging San Antonio Holmes, and you have Miles Austin. Is Miles Austin worth picking up?
On a veteran minimum with incentive-laden contract or laden deals, yeah, sure. But other than that, I wouldn't, because for the same reason that Michael Vick, he's injury prone. He's not going to play a full season for you.
What about Santana Holmes? Does he have anything in him still?
Yeah, he's one of the better free agent players now, especially with Sidney Rice, Chris Johnson now off the market. He's definitely got some character concerns. There's some red flags with his character and how he is in the locker room, sort of to the Deshaun Jackson degree, but without his playmaking ability. So, he can make some plays, but he's not the receiver he was 4 or 5 years ago. So, he might be worth the same type of risk that Miles Austin is, but I wouldn't really invest anything more than that.
Right. Why another free agent that I was thinking of? Why isn't Jermichael Finley signed yet?
Because he hasn't been fully medically cleared. He's hands down one of the top 3 free agents still available. And so until he gets medical clearance, which will likely be sometime this offseason, then he won't get signed. He's been linked to the Seahawks for a while now, and so Seattle kind of remains that front runner whenever Finley gets cleared.
Well, actually, I'm very familiar with this only because he had the exact same surgery that I had, and which is a spinal fusion. And after you have a spinal fusion, you're not supposed to do any sort of impact because the more impact you do, your spine is going to start to begin to collapse on itself, and with metal in your back, that'll be very bad. And if your spine eventually ends up collapsing on yourself, then you will be paralyzed for life. So in playing in the NFL, he would be taking a great risk. And personally, I don't think that the doctors are going to let him play eventually. I think he's just holding on to the hopes of playing in the NFL because he's so young. But I don't think he's gonna play another down in the NFL just for those reasons.
Wow.
What about Dustin Keller?
Dustin Keller?
Yeah, tight end.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm not a big fan of Dustin Keller. I don't think I never have been. I don't think he brings a lot to teams, but he's a good, second tight end, But even if they have Dustin Keller, I still think they need to pick up somebody through the draft, or maybe even a trade, but like Jay Samaro, even in the second round. But I'm not a fan of Dustin Keller.
Yeah, I mean, he's had some decent production back in through his first 4 years with the Jets, but obviously went down with a season-ending injury back in preseason last year. He's starting to get a little bit of buzz in free agency, so I think he would be worth a 1 year prove-it type of deal, assuming he's healthy.
Right.
Yeah, that's a possibility. As far as quarterbacks go, one did get signed today. Josh Freeman, has been moving almost as like a journeyman. Had his stint with the Bucks, went to the Vikings, and now he's going to the Giants. And he's going to back up Eli Manning. Do you guys believe that that's a good for him?
I think it's a good sign, and only for this reason is Eli Manning had, ankle surgery, apparently, to relieve some pressure. And apparently that happened in the final game of the season. And he's not supposed to be ready for 6 to 8 weeks, when apparently their OTAs are about to start. And so they don't really have another decent backup. And so I think that's why they signed Josh Freeman, so they would have somebody taking the snaps, just in case Eli Manning isn't ready. But that's all he's going to be is a guy who's taking snaps in practice.
Well, Eli Manning doesn't get it.
The only way I see Josh Freeman starting is if Eli Manning gets hurt. And even then, it's not certain that Freeman would get to go. Keep in mind the team did invest, I believe, a fourth-round pick in last year's draft in Ryan Nassib, who was actually expected to be a first- or second-round guy. And they also have Curtis Painter, who I think they've had for quite a while now. So the Giants have plenty of depth at the position, and they'll kind of have an open competition there. But I think it was a good move for Freeman, kind of a good place to go prove himself after a disaster last year in Minnesota. So, I think it was a good move by him. He didn't get a whole lot of interest, but he kind of took advantage of the opportunity. And we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. Definitely, we'll see what happens on that issue, and we'll see where else are there any strong. Before we get into the defense, are there any strong linemen still available in free agency you guys can think of?
Not that I know of, because I've been keeping up with all the free agent
I'm going to
players.
mention some names. Now, I'm going to mention some names because they ring a bell in my head because they're aging, but that doesn't mean they can't make an impact on a team.
Okay.
Maybe they come in on third down situations or something.
I just thought of a couple now. So go ahead.
Bryant McKinney, Eric Winston, you have Tyson Colombo, and those guys could make have a little impact on a team that really needs to boost their line instead of wasting it on a first-round draft pick that you have no idea how good he's going to do in the NFL.
Yeah, the best of those three players was Eric Winston, and the reason why he hasn't been signed yet is because he's limited by scheme. Like, he's a very natural fit in a zone blocking scheme at right tackle, but that's the only place where he can really play to a good level. So that's why he's still out there. And there are a couple of other guards that you didn't mention that I just remembered. Travell Wharton with the Carolina Panthers.
Brian Waters, yeah.
Who is reportedly leaning towards retirement, but he's 33, so it's uncertain whether he's going to hang up his cleats this offseason. And the other guy is Davin Joseph from the Bucks, and I think he's had some injuries, so that's part of why he's still out there. But a couple of impact players. And last but not least is Richie Incognito, who is a pretty good player, but obviously comes with a giant warning label.
Right. And you know how many teams are going to want to take him? That's the pressure that's going to come with him wherever he tries to go.
Yeah, he said last month, Incognito said that his goal was to return to the Dolphins, but he also said that he would be really interested in playing for the Raiders. So we'll see how that goes down.
Yeah, well, I think Reggie had a talk with him and it didn't work out. Moving to the concepts of the defense now of the available free agents, that is kind of defense is a whole different type of thing. People use of what they need, and I look at every team, and every team wants to improve their defense in some ways, because defense looks like in the last few years has won championships, has won the Super Bowl, and that even though the quarterback is the leader, but not necessarily do they always win as a better quarterback. So who is available as far as defensive ends? Because we have one of the top draft picks in this draft was Jadeveon Clowney, is the top draft pick and is a defensive end. So who is available free agency for a team that really can't jump up to probably the first 5 picks?
Well, Anthony Spencer is really the only name that sticks out, and he's still out there because of injuries. But obviously he'll wind up with a deal in the near future, and he'll see whether he can bounce back from last year.
What about Will Smith, not the actor, who played with the Saints?
Yeah, I just saw a week and a half ago that the Patriots are like the odds-on favorite for him. He got released by the Saints in their kind of wave of moves to clear up room to bring back Jimmy Graham. And, you know, Will Smith was going to be paid like $12 million or something, so it was a ludicrous number for a guy who's 33, 34 years old. But he still has a little bit left, so he may get a 1 or 2 year deal with the Patriots and kind of move around. Bill Belichick kind of knows how to make the most out of his players.
There's 2 more guys, too. You have Andre Carter and Brett Kiesel. Those are 2 more, I would say, solid defensive ends, you know, in the latter half of their career. That would definitely be worth a shot if you can get them for the right amount of money, obviously. But there are some guys out there. If the team
there's some names out there, and they have a good career. I think there's like those guys that you mentioned. Let's move to defensive tackles. I'm looking at the top defensive tackles. They're pretty much all signed. And if you're one of defensive tackles, go ahead. Hello?
I'm here.
Yeah. If you pretty want a defensive tackle, I believe they're pretty much all signed. But I mean, there's. I'm looking at it. There's Ryan Pickett, Kevin Williams. I mean, they're not going to start for you.
Well, the 2 biggest names, Isaac Sopalaga could start for you, and Ambroyu Franklin. Those 2 guys could potentially be starters on teams. Kevin Williams actually, you know, Kevin Williams formerly of the Vikings too. You know, he hasn't had a bad career. Like again, he's in the latter half of his career, but
yeah. But would you rather take a Aaron Donald or a Timmy Jernigan in the first round if that's your main need? or pick up
obviously,
one of
if
these
that's your main
veterans.
need, if that's your main need, then obviously yes.
If a defensive tackle is your primary need in the off season, would you pick up one of these veterans, or would you go for Aaron Donald or Timmy Jernigan or
Absolutely, you go after
Wet.
draft prospect.
Yeah. Yeah.
You go after one of the younger guys with the higher ceiling.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Right, but I honestly think that I would still try and pick up a veteran, just maybe if only to show that younger guy, how to act, what to do, if I could get him again on, some sort of veteran minimum. I'm sure some of these guys are itching to play, and they'll be willing to take that money, and some probably not, but I would probably still try as a GM.
Yeah, and there's also Kevin Williams, who's starting to get a little buzz. So, I think he's only got a couple years left at that, but, if you are looking for a veteran, he would be a pretty good addition.
Yeah. He's up there in age. I mean, he's 33. He's going to be 34 this year, but, yeah. I would take a chance on Kevin Williams.
Mhm.
Now, as we move to let's move to the linebackers. Most of the top linebackers that I would want on my team have signed, but then there are some big names still available. You have James Harrison still available. Everybody's familiar with him. You have Aaron Henderson. And you have, a few other ones. But then you have two very top offensive outside linebackers also available in the draft. You have Anthony Barr, and one of the top three probably prospects coming out of school, you have Khalil Mack. So if you're in the top 10, no problem on getting a linebacker. But if you're going down the road, I mean, do these guys compare to a Ryan Shizer or somebody, one of the top 40 draft picks? So that's what you have to decide on.
If outside linebacker is your primary need, chances are you're not going to go after a James Harrison or Aaron Henderson, who's one of the best free agents still out there. You're going to go after, Khalil Mack or maybe Clowney, depending on what scheme you run, or, Anthony Barr, or one of the other really talented edge rushers in this draft class. So, I mean, it depends on your needs, what you're looking for. But definitely, if it's one of your primary needs, you're going after one of the top prospects at the position in the draft.
Right. Personally, I would go after Aaron Henderson through agency. Even though I haven't been released from the Vikings for having 2 DUIs in 6 weeks. I mean, 2 DUIs in 6 weeks. But, I mean, he had an amazing year in 2013 with, 112 tackles, 4 sacks, a couple interceptions to boot. I mean, I would probably take a chance on him, and because of those DUIs, he's probably going to get a quote-unquote prove-it deal, but I think I would take a chance on Aaron Henderson.
Yeah, and it's worth noting that Henderson also said very recently, that after spending a month in rehab, that he's very eager for another chance in the NFL. He's still only 28, and ideally he would probably be the best fit for the Bucs because of his familiarity with Lovie Smith and Leslie Frazier. So I think that would be the best fit for him. But certainly his 2 DUIs in a 6-week span is why he's still out there.
Absolutely. And I completely agree with the familiarity with Lovie Smith. I think it'll be a good environment for him, just because for the reasons you stated. But, yeah. I agree, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. how about moving to the inside middle linebackers kind of thing? Top one I think is available. That is C.J. Mosley, if I'm correct, right? And he's available in the draft. But as far as inside linebackers, there are also a couple of names, but they're veterans. And you have Desmond Bishop and Jonathan Vilma and Nick Barnett and Dan Connor. Do you see any teams picking those guys up?
I mean, they'll get deals at some point. Bishop, a couple of years ago, Bishop and Vilma were considered really big names, but they've had a couple of off years, kind of for different reasons. But they'll definitely get some deals at some point. But as far as inside linebacker position when it comes to the draft, aside from center, I mean, inside linebacker is really the only other position I see that's really kind of not deep at all when it comes to talent or depth. So if middle linebacker is one of your primary needs, you better get one early in the draft. You better get C.J. Mosley or Chris Borland out of Wisconsin.
Right. As far as cornerbacks, I think every team has to get more. Every team has them. But as far as I only see there's about 3 decent cornerbacks available because most of them already have been signed. You have Terrell Thomas, Asante Samuel, and Jabari Greer. All veterans. All looking. What? Go ahead.
I think you left out the best cornerback, which is Corey Webster, as far as free agents go.
Yeah, Corey Webster, and Quentin Jammer, also, and Dante Robinson. If I can say all of them, but
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we really saw a run on corners earlier in free agency. I mean, that was the deepest and strongest position in the free agent class, and once most of those big names were gone, you kind of forget that there are any corners left. I mean, I really did. I've been covering like the best free agents and best bargains still available.
Hey, let me pause you guys for a moment because we've got our guest coming on. Hello, caller.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing?
Is this Dayvon?
Yeah, this is Dayvon Ross.
Hey, Dayvon, how are you doing? We're getting prepared for the NFL draft?
Yeah, man, I just got finished with my second workout today, man. Kind of tired right now.
How did that go, do you think, for you?
Oh, it's easy money now, man. I've been doing this for 3 months now, so it's pretty. It's just to get in all the fundamentals down now.
Hey, Dayvon, this is Michael, who interviewed you earlier this fall. How do you think you did at the Pro Day and the Regional Combine in Chicago?
Oh, well, at the Combine, man, I did. I feel like I did okay for the simple fact that when I left California, it was like 80 degrees, and when I got to Chicago, it was 12 degrees. So I was out there 3 days before the actual Combine. So the first night I got out there, got real sick. Like I had a fever. I didn't even want to compete at the Combine, but I decided to still because I paid all the money to get out there, me and my agent. So I just competed. And I feel like, and I feel like at my pro day, it was a lot. I had a lot to prove because I wasn't in a perfect condition for the Combine.
What did you run at the regional Combine, Dayvon?
Oh man, I ran a 4.8, a 4.8 like a lineman speed. Man, I was too sick, man. I didn't even want to get out of bed that morning, man.
Yeah. Well, anyway, for those people that are on, this is Dayvon Ross. He's out of Central State University, wide receiver, and he's going to be in the NFL draft. He comes from a Division II school. So how was that for you?
It was a big change because, you know, like after coming from 2 Division I programs and seeing the difference in competition level, it was a lot different. But you know, God does things for a reason, and I felt like, you know, it was a reason why I went to Central State instead of going to UCLA or the University of Virginia.
Why don't you tell? Sorry to get you back, but why don't you tell you know, the people about your story and how you you know, got into football a little bit?
Oh, okay. Well, you know, growing up, you know, I love football, man. Football, Jerry Rice, man, watching them guys, and really motivated me to play football. So, you know, growing up, I grew up in Los Angeles, California. I played Pop Warner. I went to high school, and when I left high school, I was one of the top wide receivers in high school football in the state of California. So, you know, I decided to, I wanted to go to USC bad, man. That was my first option. I grew up 10 minutes from USC, but when I found out that they had gave away, they didn't have any more offensive scholarship, I decided to just take a scholarship to UCLA. And I wanted to give USC hell for not you know, recruiting me basically, and you know, I committed to UCLA, and I found out that I had some classes that I was missing, and was forced to go to a junior college. I went to a junior college for a year, and I was taking a lot of courses because I was one of the top receivers. So I didn't feel like I should be at a junior college. So I was taking a lot of classes, online classes, and things like that. And the University of Virginia had came, and they wanted me. I signed with them, and probably like a couple weeks before I was supposed to go out there officially, like you know, start school and things like that. They had told me that, notified me that I was the online classes that I was taking, the ACC didn't accept them, so that's how I ended up at Central State.
That's awesome, Dayvon.
Yes. What is on your growing up? You know, you say you're living in LA. What was your favorite team while growing up?
Oh man, I like all 32 teams, man. I never
so
really
you don't
had
mind comes out and gets you.
No, I don't mind, man. I like everybody equally, man.
Hey, Dayvon, this is Trent. You said you ran a 4.8 at your regional combine. At your pro day, did you improve on that time?
Oh, yeah, man. I ran a 4.4, which I knew that I would run. You know, I ran a 4.4. I've been running 4.4s and low 4.5s my whole training. And the first day I got to my training, and I want to give a shout-out to Ron Conwright. He was a world-class sprinter. He was actually my trainer. And you know, he's amazing, man. My first day going out there, I was running 4.6s, like, you know. So I know 4.8. That's like center speed. I'm not a center.
Yeah, that's wide receiver speed, definitely.
Yeah. So when I got to my pro day, I knew that I will show more explosive. So yeah, I came out and ran a 4.41.
Where do you feel that you can most improve your game in your game right now, and are you working on that currently?
Yeah. My biggest thing is learning the defensive schemes, and like, you know, physically I'm there. Like, you know, I have great hands, great size, good speed. So, you know, I'm physically there. But the thing is, like, you know, I want to beat the man across from me in all phases of the game, and I want to be smarter than everyone. So, you know, that's the improvement that's what I need to improve on, learning different schemes and finding that hole in the defense.
How are you going about doing that right now? Did you bring in some defensive coordinators?
Yeah. Well, I talk to a lot of defensive guys. I train with a lot of guys from USC, so they had that top-notch coaching. So they kind of help me out, and we do like little quizzes and things like that, so I can find them holes, man.
That's awesome.
Who's your biggest mentor as far as a professional athlete right now to get to where you to this point?
I would have to say two guys. He was, but a guy named Titus Young and Raheem Moore. Those are the guys who's really motivated me and it really helped me to get to this point.
Do you believe you have the attributes and skills that will make you a leader at the next level?
Oh yeah, man. If it wasn't about politics, man, I would definitely be a first round draft pick, man, because obviously I've been, it's not a question about the talent. It's just the school that I went to. I feel like if I would have stayed at UCLA, I would have been a 4-year starter, or if I would have went to University of Virginia, I would have been a 3-year starter. But, I go against D1 guys and, NFL guys all the time, and I know that I can play at the next level. It's just, politics, man. It's just, Sammy Watkins went to Clemson, and I went to Central State University.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is a big part, and from everything,
you're larger than him,
you're 6'2", 215,
you are larger.
Right?
Measurements are larger, correct?
Yeah.
So, on your, where are scouts telling you where you might end up? What round you possibly?
Yeah, the scouts that me and my agents talk to, they're all giving me 5th round grades, so man, like I said, man, that'd be a blessing, man. That's a blessing, just to get in there. So hopefully I'll go somewhere from the 5th to the 7th.
Where are you going to be watching the draft at, Dayvon?
I want to be the first pick, man.
No. Where are you going to be watching it? Are you going to be?
Where are you going to be Where are you going to be at during the draft time? Maybe around the third day of the pick. Obviously, the first day everybody wants to grab a seat, but what about yourself? What are you do during the draft?
Man, I'm just going. Hopefully, I get to go golf or go fishing or something, man. I don't even want to watch it, man. I just want to just take my mind off of it, man.
Are you an avid golfer, Dayvon?
I'm pretty decent, man. I'm not Tiger Woods or anything like that, but I'm pretty decent.
Do you have a handicap?
Yeah.
What's your handicap? Do you know your handicap for golf?
I don't know. For me, it's 500.
Hello?
Mine's like 20. Can you hear us?
Hello?
Hello?
Dayvon?
Yeah.
Maybe we can just turn the question a little bit around. What are your hobbies and stuff that you enjoy doing outside of football?
Outside of football, fishing and golfing.
Oh, cool. And, you told us all 32 teams are your favorite teams, but is there a team that maybe a local California team growing up in L.A. That you might, like maybe the Chargers, the Raiders of San Francisco, that you would like to, so you could stay close to home?
Oh, no, I always wanted to get out of California, man. And growing up, I always liked the Packers. I always liked the Green Bay Packers. But, I never really had a favorite team, but I always liked the Packers.
Okay, we're going to bring in the Packers for you right now. Do you know a lot what's going on in the off season with the Packers?
Not really, but like at the years that I've watched the Packers, man, they always release someone who has like a great season, man. Like I never understood that, like someone who produced on the field and then they just release them.
Well, how would you feel if you got a pass from Aaron Rodgers?
Oh man, that'd be real great, man. I would really love it.
Hey, Mike, you got any?
What's the process been like for you talking to coaches and scouts around the NFL?
Man, it's been crazy, man. Like they ask a lot of questions, and the questions be kind of weird, but man, it's really great to even talk to scouts and things like that, because a lot of people are not fortunate to have that, but it's an experience, man.
Weird questions, like what kind of weird questions?
Yeah, what's the weirdest question?
Let me see. What's the weirdest question that I've been asked? I've been asked. It's been a lot, man. I can't really point out one.
I'm sure it's been overwhelming.
Yeah, it's
exciting though.
Yeah, it's very exciting because you never know. You never really know who's going to call you, you know. So it's like, oh wow, like I just got off the phone with the Packers, or I just got off the phone with the Raiders. Like it's just crazy.
That's awesome. That's so awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, when you get a hold of a team, I mean, obviously you can't tell us all the teams that you've been, but how many teams have contacted you since the process of the draft began?
It's been maybe six, 7.
Oh, excellent. So that must be really exciting for you to be on that wavelength where you have a few teams really interested in you.
Yeah, and it's crazy because that's even before my pro day even came out. So my pro day, I just released them to the team. So I'm expecting to get more more publicity and more contacts from different NFL teams.
Definitely. What 3 things do you think you could bring to the NFL, to an NFL team that other wide receivers may not be able to bring?
Focus, man. Like a lot of guys when they get to that point, they start to take it for granted. Like guys start to really like, oh, okay, I'm here already, I deserve it. But you got to stay hungry. I'm gonna always be hungry. Like coming in, if I go in the 7th round, I'm gonna come in hungry, man. Like, and I'm gonna keep it there, man. I'm not gonna feel relaxed, because every year is somebody trying to take your position. So I'm gonna bring hungriness. I'm gonna bring aggression, man. Like every time I catch the ball, man, I wanna get off the field, man, and hard work, man. Like I'm gonna work harder than anyone on that field at any time. I don't want anyone to outplay me, man.
That's awesome. Here's a random question for you. Do you play Madden?
Oh yeah, I love Madden.
You get down on some Madden? What system do you play on?
You say it one more time?
What system do you play on, Dayvon?
You said what teams?
No, what system? Like what? PlayStation, Xbox?
PlayStation 3.
Nice.
Yeah, PlayStation 3. I haven't got the 4 yet, man, but I'm gonna get it one of these days.
Well, if you get an NFL contract, you have no problem with that.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you, when you do get picked up by an NFL team, what's gonna be like your first big purchase? Do you already have you thought about that, or is it gonna be for your mom, your daughter?
I'm gonna definitely for my mom first, man, because she's the done a lot, man. Like, especially like being away for school, like being all the way in Ohio, and so somebody had to watch over my daughter while I was at school, and she's definitely been supportive, and she believed in me and everything. So I have to do something special for her, man.
What about for yourself? Have you thought about maybe getting a car?
Yeah. I'm I got to give me some wheels, man. I got to give me some wheels, and that's pretty much it, man. That second
wheels and a
contract
PS4.
I gotta get the PS4 too. But the second contract is a contract that you want to splurge, man.
Yeah, that's gonna be your moneymaker.
Yeah.
So other than basically, what have? Let me just randomly give me as being analysts and host of radio and writers here, gotta know do you have a top 5 draft picks yourself that you could give us?
I probably got the top 3, man, and I'm gonna go with Johnny Manziel, Teddy Bridgewater,
and Johnny Man.
Johnny Manziel, Teddy Bridgewater, and Sammy Watkins is the first 3 off the board, man.
Oh, so Sammy Watkins probably goes to the Rams and Bridgewater to the Jaguars, basically.
Yeah.
Well,
or it could be the other way around.
Yeah, I could see the Rams taking a chance on a quarterback.
Yeah.
What do you think it would be like to play with Johnny Manziel in the NFL?
Man, it'll be interesting, man, because I know that guy is a character, man, and I'm a character myself, man. So as far as on the field, man, I like the ball thrown to me. So he's a playmaker, man, and he plays too, man. So it'll be pretty interesting.
In saying that, which wide receiver? I'm going to give you 2 different aspects. You give me 2 different names. Which wide receiver did you grow up watching, and which one active wide receiver that you try to learn from while now playing?
Okay, I grew up watching Jerry Rice, man. Like a lot of guys say it, but man, I thought I was Jerry Rice. Like I had a little Jerry Rice jersey, and I really thought I was Jerry Rice, the greatest of all time, man. But now, as I'm older, and I kind of follow receivers that are kind of my game style is after. I model my game after. It would have to be Anquan Bolden and Demaryius Thomas.
Both the way I see it, those are kind of 2 different receivers, but that's a good ones to follow and probably learn a lot from watching them. And definitely Jerry Rice. I think all of us grew up watching Jerry Rice and what his work ethic, where he got him and what he does. So as far as is your work ethic like Jerry Rice? You go out to the field and practice to get it better, or are you a film kind of guy that likes to sit and watch film a lot? So where are you in that notation?
I'll put it both together, man, because I know that you have to and I didn't understand this earlier in my training, that you have to learn stuff, because at first it was all working out. Like, man, I was thinking in my head, I'm gonna beat everybody with speed and power and things like that. And then when I was watching Demarius Thomas, and Demarius Thomas, dude, I don't know if you guys know, but he ran a 4.3, so and he's big. So I'm like and guys sticking with him. But the thing that I noticed about him is that he always finds a way to get open, and I looked at that as like a mental thing, like he runs all type of different routes, and I wanted to be just like that, So I start picking up the habit to watching film, so I kind of put it both in together. Like, you can't have one without the other.
No, definitely. The two definitely go together. And it'll make you a better wide receiver because of that,
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think it would be like to land with the Broncos and wind up playing with Demarius Thomas and Raheem Moore?
Oh, man, I would love it, man, but physically I wouldn't be able to play in Denver. That offensive coordinator he likes me, but I wouldn't be able to play in Denver because I have a sickle cell, and, with the altitude, I wouldn't be able to breathe out there.
Okay, I know what team you're playing for. I'll get on the phone. Do you have any basic plays that in college people can watch? Maybe let me rephrase this. What is your best play that you recall in college that you remember most, basically?
Okay, well, it was we was playing against a school called St. Joseph, and we was actually down at halftime, and my coach was Coach E.J. Jr. He used to play for Alabama a while back. He was a first-round draft pick, and being coach, and my offensive coordinator was Ben Coates from he played for New England for a long time, tight end. But so he came. We knew that we was better than this team, but for some reason they punched us in the mouth in the first half. And somebody said man, we need to step it up. We're playing like girls out here, man. So so the first play opened it up. I had scored a 70-yard. I took a hitch, like a 1-yard hitch. It scored on a 70-yard catch and run, and
wow.
that stood up. That stood out to me because it gave my team momentum, and we came back and won the game.
That's awesome. I remember you had a play in college against Urbana University, right, where you had a 50-yard touchdown or 50-yard streak to win the game, right?
Yeah.
That was a sweet play too, man.
Thanks, man.
You're an awesome receiver. You should be a first rounder.
Thanks, man.
I hope the Niners take you.
Man, that'd be cool, man.
I think so. I think you fit in well with the 49ers. I think you fit in well with pretty much any team, it sounds like. But I'm just being, selfish because I'm a Niner fan. But yeah. Do you have a Twitter handle you'd like everyone to know and shout out, or?
Oh no! I don't have a Twitter, man. I don't really know how to work it. I have a fan page on Facebook that I post all my updates and everything on, so you can just search me at Dayvon Ross, DayvonRoss.
Awesome.
You heard him, Dayvon Ross, and he'll be getting on a team in the NFL draft that's just around the corner. And you guys, thank you for coming in. And we appreciate it, and we'll all keep up to you as we're fans too, and not only just broadcasters here on the radio show. And we'll thank you for coming on. And you can always get a hold of me, Oren, and you have all my info. Thank you very much.
Thanks, man.
Good luck,
Thank
Dayvon.
you guys for having me. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Well, that was cool, guys.
Yeah, he was nice.
Yeah, very good. Anyway,
very friendly.
Back to our topic. Mike, I think you kind of were talking about some free agency stuff. I think we were talking about the cornerbacks. Mike, are you there?
Yep.
I think we were talking about the corners and stuff. So I guess we'll move into safeties. A lot of safeties have signed with some teams, but you have a couple of decent veterans that I see, like Nick Collins, Mike Adams, Ed Reed. Is he going to retire? I don't know. Michael Huff, kind of okay. So these guys, is there a safety that can make an impact for a team available?
Absolutely. There's one name who it's anyone's guess why he's still out there, and that's Kerry Rhodes, who rated out, according to Pro Football Focus, rated out as like the fourth or fifth best safety in 2012. He was out of the NFL last year after being released by the Arizona Cardinals, and in a recent interview with ESPN, he said that he believes the reason why he's still out there has more to do with the contract, not agreeing on the right money, as opposed to rumors about his sexuality, and so that may be why he's still out there. But hands down, the most talented free agent still available, not only at the safety position, but any position. And he has been for a while, with the exception of Alex Mack and Deshaun Jackson.
Alex Mack really wasn't a free agent, but yeah, I agree. Kerry Rhodes, definitely the best free agent out there, and it's ridiculous to think that teams would be, not willing to sign him because, of his sexuality, whether or not he's gay or not. That should be none of their business. It should just be all about his play on the field. But unfortunately, That is not the world that we live in. So.
Yeah, I mean, that could change, though, as Michael Sam enters the NFL, and, we could see a few players come out after that, for all we know. But that would be a shame if that's the reason why Kerry Rhodes is still out there.
Absolutely, I agree. Yeah, as far as as far as Kerry Rhodes, who do you think is the next safety that could be on? Of course, these others don't have the issues as far as getting on a team. So what's holding that back? Because is that just the teams have signed a lot of free agents already?
Yeah, and the best safeties obviously were, they already went off the board in, Jarius Byrd, T.J. Ward, Dante Whitner, Chris Clemens, Louis Delmas, Michael Jenkins.
Well, all their money on just one player.
Yeah, they definitely did, and they didn't have a lot of money to spend as it is,
Yeah.
Right. But Michael Huff, Quentin Michael or Mikel, some good guys, Nick Collins. Those are some safeties that are still out there besides Kerry Rhodes. But honestly, I think the teams that need safeties at this point, besides Kerry Rhodes, are more than likely going to take a chance in the draft, or at least wait until the draft, and then maybe we'll see a couple of these safeties comes out off the board after the draft. But I don't think anyone's going to get picked up until then.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some safeties that may go in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of safeties. I mean, I was hoping we were going to talk
about
Clinton
Dix is the first person. I actually see him going to the Bears, possibly. That might be a good spot for him, And then after him, there's a few others that may come off the board, like Calvin Price.
Calvin Pryor would definitely be the top safety as well. And he's drawn some comparisons to Bob Sanders, but, without the injury concerns there. So very talented safety. And, of course, this cornerback class is completely loaded as well.
Well, let's move on a little bit to our Western teams, or whatever we want to call them. We have an AFC West team we're going to talk about, and an NFC West team we're going to talk about. So as far as teams,
We're sorry. Your call can...
as far as the teams, basically, Trent, give me an overview of what the 49ers have done this season, and then what about all the news that's coming about with a couple of arrests this past week? So why don't you bring us up to date on all that information?
As far as draft picks, or as far as free agency picks?
No. First, we're talking about what they did in this off season. Then we're going to talk about the rest, and then we'll get back to the draft picks, where they might go.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing that they probably did after losing Dante Whitner was bringing in Antoine Bethea, a younger version, I would say, of Dante Whitner. And then obviously bringing back Anquan Bolden, I think, was huge on a 2-year deal, possibly a 3-year deal. Bringing back fullback Bruce Miller, that was also a big deal. Other than that, I'd like to pick up with Jonathan Martin. He's probably not going to start for them this year, but he could learn behind our offensive line, which, is arguably one of the best in the NFL. And then, obviously, everyone knows about the Blaine Gabbert trade for the 6th-round pick, and I'm not really sure what they were thinking there. I know that they liked Blaine Gabbert in the 2011 draft, but they had promised Alex Smith that they weren't going to take a quarterback in the first round. So, and personally, I know it was Trent Baalke that liked Blaine Gabbert, and Colin Kaepernick was Jim Harbaugh's guy, and so Baalke let them have him. Supposedly that was the start of all stuff between Trent Baalke and Jim Harbaugh. But yeah, honestly, I think their biggest signing was bringing back a guy they had last year, which was Anquan Bolden.
Yeah, and there's a report that just came out within the last hour that the 49ers are shopping LaMichael James.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I thought they were going to do that this year for a draft pick. I have that actually written down in my mock draft that they were going to. I thought they were going to shop LaMichael James. That doesn't shock me at all. That's a smart move, I think. They don't really utilize him the way he needs to be utilized, and they might as well get what they can for him.
In the first 4 rounds right now, who do you have the 49ers selected?
In the first 4 rounds, let me pull up my mock draft for you. Oops, phone playing. Sorry, just give me 1 second. There we go. With their first pick, if they don't trade up, and I really think they might trade up in the first round, very similar to what they did last year, and where they took Eric Reed with the 18th overall pick, I think if they don't trade up, I think they're going to take Jordan Matthews, the wide receiver, the one that's related to, Jerry Rice. He's his cousin. He's a stud. Without looking at my stats, I know he's 6'2", 215. Very similar stats to actually Dayvon Ross, we just talked to, runs a 4.4 40. Great and very similar stats to him.
Yeah, I'd like to add a little quick thing about that. I actually interviewed Missouri cornerback E.J. Gaines last week, and he said he played in Missouri, so he faced a lot of really good receivers. And he said the best one he's faced was Jordan Matthews, and that's over Mike Evans. So definitely
and those
underrated.
of you that know who we're talking about is Jordan Matthews out of Vanderbilt.
He's actually 6'3", 212. Sorry, I got his height wrong. But he's my favorite wide receiver actually in the draft, and that's awesome that EJ Gaines said that. That's cool, Mike. That's cool. With their second pick, and they actually have two in the second round, I have them taking Bradley Roby as a cornerback if he falls that far. And then I also have them taking safety Deon Buchanan. I'm not the biggest fan of Antoine Bethea, and I really like Buchanan out of Washington. He's more of a ball hawk and a covering strong safety, and Antoine Bethea is more of a run stopper. And I feel Deon Buchanan can do both. And in today's NFL, you definitely need safeties that can cover. And then with their fourth pick, I have them taking a center, and that's in the third round, Weston Richburg.
Ooh, that's a good pick.
Because they will be losing their center next year, so they only have him on a 1-year deal because Goodwin will be gone. So those are my first 4 picks for the 49ers, and if I get 2 of those right, I'll be happy. But
Weston Richburg is the center out of Colorado State. If you look at Western, he is 6'3" and 300 pounds, and he's a very versatile center. And he's going to be one of the probably third or fourth centers coming off the board.
Yeah, and I think
he's
actually drawing comparisons to Alex Mack. So if the 49ers land those guys, they're getting a ton of value with all of those picks.
Yeah, honestly, I hope they get all those guys. I could see Bradley Roby. The only guy I could see maybe them not getting is Bradley Roby. I could see him going maybe a little bit earlier because I have him going in the second round right now. But honestly, if they get
a lot of people got him in their mock drafts, got him in the first round. If you couldn't get a Bradley Roby in a corner, who do you see they might pick up in that? Because they're kind of in that their pick over there by that time. Isn't that like a latter second round pick?
It's middle of the second round because it's from the Chiefs. Actually, so it's not too far off, but it's pick number 56
right?
from the Chiefs. It's pick number 56 from the Chiefs.
Yeah, 56. How about that guy? I know they have about that like Keith McHill out of Utah.
Yeah, I've actually got an interview coming up with him too. I'm excited about. So, what do you think about him going to the Niners?
I like him going to the Niners too. I personally think we need a taller cornerback. And that's
isn't he like 6'3"?
He's tall. He's like 6'2", yeah, 6'6". So he's tall. So I like him going to the Niners too. If the Niners could get him in the latter half of the second round too. I've read good things about him too, though, so I could see him going earlier in the second round as well. So, but I would like Hill for the Niners, absolutely. That the Niners need all the help they can get as far as cornerback goes. I mean, with the troubles with Chris Culver popping up, we lost Carlos Rogers and Terrell Brown to the Raiders, even though, so I mean, the Niners need cornerback help for sure, and that's why in one of my mock drafts I have them jumping up in the first round to get Justin Gilbert. But, just because they have picked the top 100, we have 12 picks again. Well, we had 13, but so we traded.
There may be another pressing need that they may have to address with the whole Alden Smith situation. It came out yesterday, reportedly, that Alden Smith probably won't play for the team in 2014, whether that means he's traded, released, or gets a year-long suspension.
Honestly, I don't think he should play for the Niners. And honestly, what I hope happens is I hope Roger Goodell steps in, and I hope he suspends Alden Smith indefinitely, just so he can get his life straightened out and just work on him and what he needs to, because obviously it sounds like he has a few problems going on. Quite an understatement. Because he has 3 pending cases, one of them very, very serious. That can land him some serious jail time. But as far as the defensive end goes on the field, we have Hank Carradine, we haven't really seen play, but we did see Corey Lemonnier start last year, and he looks good. So I'm not too worried. I think they will draft a defensive end this year, and they might go a little bit earlier. Like I said, they had 6 picks in the top 100, so maybe they use one of those picks to pick defensive end. I think they do, but I think we have the depth at that position. Obviously, those guys are no Alden Smith, or at least they're not at this point, but I mean, it is what it is, right?
Oh, my gosh, I got a good one coming up next week. Anyway, on the 49ers,
what do you think about that, Mike?
Yeah, on the 49ers, with the troubles, kind of what we've been talking about, give me the thing where you being in Northern California, what do you find, what's Colin Kaepernick's, because with the trouble that he's having with the possible, sexual assault charges being addressed to him?
Well, the sexual assault charges were bogus. Those were bogus, but as far as the whole him getting in trouble with the weed smoking thing, I don't know what, if that's valid, obviously he's, there's a lot to worry about there because, players in the NFL are not supposed to be smoking marijuana, and that could be a 4-game suspension coming up, and if that happens, we're hurting, it would just be playing Kaepernick. But as far as, Kaepernick goes, 2 years in a row he's had an issue in Miami. Last year it was with the hat, and, he took offense to that, and he even went on Instagram and, was talking back to fans, which I don't think he should be doing as a quarterback in the NFL. He and even now on his Twitter, if you follow him on Twitter, he worries too much about haters. Like, I feel like every other post he talks about, this is for the haters, and I'm like, and I just think to myself, you don't need to be worried about people hating on you. You should be worried about your own game. But
yeah,
and until he does start worrying about his own game, I don't think he'll reach his full potential. Sorry, but I think he's, and honestly, I think Colin Kaepernick could be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL if he does, and he still needs to improve on his game, like, quite a bit, but, so far up to this day, I think he's, been pretty darn good. What do you think,
I'm
Mike?
going to bring up another. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's interesting perspective, he said. I'll have to follow Cap on Twitter because I wasn't aware of that. But, yeah, I think he's got a lot of potential. I think he would be wise to kind of follow in the footsteps of Russell Wilson as far as work ethic and just kind of staying out of trouble. And, doesn't look like Kaepernick has any real serious problems, but, he's responding to people on Instagram or whatever like that, and marijuana, that's something he should avoid at this point.
I agree.
Yeah. Let me bring up our the other thing, like you said about Alden Smith. Now, there's a third guy. I may be drawing, but there's someone else that got busted like back in January. Isn't that correct?
Chris Culver, recently.
Yeah. So, what is happening with the 49ers? Is it there's got to be something with the leadership there? Is that possible? Are they very? Because you see a lot of this in the NFL, but why is it happening to the Niners, and why is it happening now? Is it because they haven't won the Super Bowl, or what has been taken away from them? But the Niners
because they haven't won the Super Bowl.
Never that.
I don't know. They're young, and Alden Smith apparently came out the other day that he had been red flagged before the draft. I've said this before. It's like when you give people that are troublemakers, and quote unquote troublemakers, because I don't really know Alden Smith that well, more money and more free time, what do you think they're honestly going to do with their time? Do you think they're going to instantly become better people? No, they're not going to instantly become better people. They need, good leadership and solid veterans around them and a strong veteran presence. And the 49ers locker room just, currently they don't really have that right now. You have, your quote-unquote leader of the 49ers, Colin Kaepernick, getting into trouble 2 years in a row, albeit, not a whole lot of trouble, but enough to, make ESPN and make headlines. And then you have Alden Smith, getting into trouble, Chris Culver. You even have former 49ers, getting into trouble. But I don't think it's because they didn't win the Super Bowl. I think it's just because there isn't a super strong veteran presence in the locker room to be like, hey, kid, you need it, you need to sit down and take a strong look in the mirror, But and at the same time, that 49ers, even if there was a strong veteran, they're not going to be around them 100% of the time, in the off season. They have their own families and their own lives, and they go away to work on, themselves in the off season. Once the season starts and OTA starts and training camp starts, I think it's all going to come together. But until then, I think, there's still going to be this talk about the 49ers this, the 49ers that. But, I don't know. I can't say 100% one way or the other. I'm just guessing.
Well, I'm going to move across the bay. Enough with these Niners. I'm just kidding.
I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle.
Well, that's what the Niners think all the time. Anyway, moving to the other team across the bay, lots of action has happened this offseason for the Silver and Black, the Raiders. They're kind of in a desperate situation. Could be the last final year for General GM Reggie McKenzie and Dennis Allen's little regime that they're trying to get together if it doesn't work. So they brought in a bunch of guys, a bunch of good veterans, and, Matt Schaub, Justin Tuck, Lamar Woodley, we can go on and on, Donald Penn, and then a couple more offensive linemen. Mike, give me some perspective on your part. What do you think of all this?
Yeah, I came out with a list of the 10 most improved teams for agency about a week ago, and the Raiders came in second, but they still have a lot of problems they need to fix. And I think all their moves with getting all these veteran guys, you mentioned Justin Tuck, Lamar Woodley, Antonio Smith, Carlos Rogers, Terrell Brown, Matt Schaub, Austin Howard, Donald Penn, it's a sign that Reggie McKenzie and company know that if they don't at least show a lot of improvement this year, that they're gone. That doesn't necessarily mean that they have to make the playoffs, but they certainly need to show a lot of improvement. I think all their moves are interesting. They certainly need to find another receiver. They also picked up James Jones. I think he could be a pretty good complementary number 2 wideout. But they definitely need to find a number 1 receiver early in the draft.
Let me ask you, Trent. I know you're a 49ers fan yourself, but from your perspective, do you think the Raiders can improve in what they have on offense right now without disregard the draft picks of what they can improve on, but what they have right now, what they built right now on offense, does it look better to you than what they had last year?
Oh, yeah, way better. I mean, Matt Schwab last year, I don't think...
MJD, actually, also. There's a running back.
Yeah,
we have a running back tandem with McFadden. If he does get hurt like usual, you have MJD, right?
McFadden.
They did lose Rashad Jennings, though.
Yeah, Rashard Jennings, I thought that was a dumb move for letting Rashard Jennings go and keeping McFadden. McFadden hasn't played. I don't think he's played a whole season.
And a lot of
in his
people
career.
don't know, but you still have a rookie that they picked up last year, third-rounder, Latavius Murray, that will work in, I'm sure, with the team, with those two guys. they might have a much better running thing, and they still have, their both fullbacks who they do use in passing situations. Marcel Reese.
And got James Jones too, and they have, they don't have a terrible tight end. They actually have a pretty decent tight end. I forget his name.
Michel Rivera.
Yeah.
They have a blocking tight end that I guess they kept was Nick Casa and Michael Rivera. Basically, both of them are still going to be on the team, so I don't see them going in the draft and getting a tight end. But anything is possible. About the draft, they only have 4 picks really in the first 6 rounds. So they may want to move back in maybe the first or second round to pick up some more picks. They're in the 5th spot. You know where I am at, but I want to hear your guys' perspective. Where do you guys think they go in the first round? Let's say Sammy Watkins is already taken. Remember, they got their quarterback. I think that's going to start for them. They may get a quarterback in the first, second, or third round, but I don't see them getting a quarterback in the first round. A lot of teams are going to pass up on quarterbacks. Where do you see them going if Sammy Watkins is gone in the first round?
I would assume that they trade back then, unless they think Mike Evans is worth the 5th overall pick. You got to think that they're looking at receivers really close for their first round, because that is their most pressing need at this point. So I would think trading back, say with the Lions, if they really want to move up and get Sammy Watkins. Of course, if he's gone, then a team like maybe Minnesota or Buffalo wants to move up. So that might make sense and get Watkins or Odell Beckham, maybe even a Brandon Cooks, a little kind of down more in the top 10 or 12. That might make more sense for the Raiders, but I think they got to find help at receiver first and foremost.
Trent, what is your perspective on that? Do you have a similar perspective, or do you think since it's a deep class of wide receivers, could the Raiders pick up a wide receiver a little bit later on? Do they have to grab
definitely a deep class of wide receivers. No, they don't have to grab somebody in the first, 15 picks if they happen to trade up. I think they should take a safety or a linebacker right there, to be honest with you. Maybe even a cornerback. But, I mean, they got to do the quarterback through free agency. But, yeah, no, I definitely think that the Raiders can wait on a receiver. I don't know how many picks they have in the second, third, and fourth rounds. I don't know if they stack picks or they just have one pick in those individual rounds. But there are
they have
receivers
one pick in each round. I'm going to give you my perspective at the end of our discussion. But they have one pick in each of the next 4 rounds, so it's kind of hard to say what they are doing. I see a lot of mocks picking a few picks, picking a offensive tackle, but it's funny. They spent a lot of money on building this line. So why would they go out and go get another offensive tackle?
I think because they still need some help.
What? But they got 5 linemen, new linemen.
Yeah, but they also lost. I'm
not saying they won't draft the guy at all. But okay, why would they go get Jake Matthews or Greg Robinson when they have already their starting offensive line?
Well, ask the people who were mocking them to the Raiders, because I think they should take a receiver with their first round pick. I know it's a loaded draft class, especially at receiver, but I think they got to address that position right away.
Well, let me give you this. Let me give you my perspective here, and I agree with you on some of the things that you guys both said. But they do need. I say that if they get Sammy Watkins, great. He's going to make impact on that team right away from day one. They need a number one receiver. Mike Evans had a great quarterback, whether people see short or whatever. He was a great college quarterback. And he's going to be good probably in NFL too. But is he worth taking the little risk on? We have no idea. Certainly when there's a lot of draft picks available in the second and third round to make the wide receiver class, whoever they get. I see they get the best person on the board. And if Khalil Mack is available, they will grab him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of Khalil Mack. I really strongly feel that Jacksonville's going to take Khalil Mack or Clowney. So Mack may not be there. But if he is, I mean, that would be a great pickup. But it depends on how they use Justin Tuck and Lamar Woodley. And I don't follow.
Well,
the
Lamar Woodley's
going
to move to defensive end because he played a 3-4. Now he's got to play a 4-3.
Are they going to run?
That's a good deal.
Are they going to run both fronts, like a 4-3 and 3-4 mix, like some teams use? Or are they going to go strictly 4-3?
Right now, they're still in the same defense, 4-3. So I looked on the depth chart the other day, and they have Lamar Woodley playing defensive end. So you would have Justin Tuck and Lamar Woodley. Yeah. So someone has to play alongside of Nick Roach.
Okay, but it wouldn't make much sense for Khalil Mack to be a 4-3 outside linebacker, I don't think. Wouldn't he be more of a 3-4 guy?
I thought he was a 4-3 guy. I don't know.
No, I think he has the versatility to play several different positions, but I think he's best at 3-4 outside linebacker.
Yeah.
He's probably
like
though.
4.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Khalil Mack will probably play both.
Just saying they'll take the top impact player if they do choose the 5th pick overall, they should take the top player available.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense for a team that's I wouldn't say rebuilding, but they're kind of really making a push to kind of save their jobs. So they need a high impact player. Regardless of what position it is.
If it's Johnny Manziel, it's Johnny Manziel because he's going to be capture put people in the seats. Even though in the Oakland Coliseum it's sold out every day, but that's not. Yeah,
I'd like to touch on the quarterbacks if we could, because there's been a lot of buzz about. Some of these quarterbacks sliding out of the first round, like we may only have 1 or 2 quarterbacks go in the first round. As of right now, I can really see the Texans taking Blake Bortles and the Browns going with Derek Carr.
Mind me finishing up here, and then we can go into that?
Okay, sure.
Okay, let me just give you my 4 draft picks. I put the Khalil Mack in as I said, I have kind of 2 picks for basically in the second pick. It really depends on whether they want a QB in the first round. The second round or not. But if they don't want a QB in the second round, they will go with their the best offensive lineman available at time, or they might even go if Timmy Jernigan is still there, he's good, and because Pat Simmons they're getting old. The defensive tackles that they re-signed and the defensive tackle they picked up in free agency, those guys are getting old. In the third round, I do see them selecting the best available wide receivers. Paul Richardson's still there. I see them getting them. And then fourth round, Aaron Murray.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of interest in Aaron Murray around the NFL right now.
Yeah, there is. I'd like to address the quarterback thing, too.
Go ahead.
I just want to address the quarterback thing, too. I've been hearing a lot about quarterbacks that are going to fall out of the first round. That a lot, on one of my most recent mock draft, I did a mock draft where Teddy Bridgewater fell out of the first round, and a lot of people mocked me for that, and a lot of people made fun of me for that, and said there's no way Teddy Bridgewater falls out of the first round. Now all I'm hearing as of late is that Teddy Bridgewater is going to fall out of the first round, and I just want to laugh at all those people.
That was you. You started this first round slide?
Sorry?
I'm pulling your leg.
Oh, yeah.
Said that you started the buzz of him falling out of the first round.
I had it a few weeks ago before anyone did. And
well, I can guarantee there'll be two or three quarterbacks in the first round because some teams are so desperate for a quarterback that it's not like last year where you had one or two teams. It's like 5 teams.
Every year,
and this quarterback class
there's 6
is
or 7
better than
teams
last
that need a
year.
quarterback, though. But yeah, but not by much. Not by much.
No, there's no Andrew Luck here. That's for sure.
Well, I'm kind
There's
of.
not even a Colin Kaepernick or freaking
I don't know about that. I mean.
No, you might. Just because these other top flight analysts from NFL Network and ESPN say there's not, I like a lot of these guys. They know how to talk. They know what they're doing. They know how to, just because Bridgewater had a bad pro day workout, you're gonna say he's bad quarterback? He might be the best quarterback.
It's more than just about his bad pro day, though. Like he's not the most accurate passer. He's more of a running guy first. Like pocket passers are the quarterbacks that win in this league. Like Russell Wilson won a Super Bowl.
I mean, he's not Andrew Luck, but he is pretty good. And I would say
he's not very accurate. Well, I would disagree. I would say I like Blake Bortles more, and I would even go as far as to say I would take Jimmy Garoppolo over Teddy Bridgewater.
Well,
but
that's just taking Jimmy Garoppolo too, because he didn't have the competition.
Well, neither did Teddy Bridgewater, though. Teddy Bridgewater went against
Teddy Bridgewater didn't have competition. Look who he played.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He didn't play against anybody good.
Look who Ben Roethlisberger faced in college. He went to Miami of Ohio. Looks like he's done pretty good. And Blake Bortles has drawn plenty of comparisons to Big Ben. So, I agree with what you say about Bortles. I kind of hope he goes to the Texans. But, I mean, I think this class offers plenty of potential. It depends on where they go, the system they go to, and what they already have in place. Because if some of these guys go to teams that really don't have good offensive lines or much weapons to work with, of course they're going to struggle. I mean, and you can see if they start to struggle 1 or 2 years, and then that can kind of lead to a trajectory where they just fail through their career based on how it started. So, that's part of the process. But, I think there are plenty of talented quarterbacks, and, it just depends on what you're looking for.
Back to the Jaguars. Do you think the Jaguars will get a quarterback in the first round? I'm not saying in the second or third. I'm saying in the first round.
No.
And why?
I am completely sold that they're taking Khalil Mack or they're taking Jadeveon Clowney. But if they don't, it's because they trade down and take Anthony Barr instead. They're going with one of those guys.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
I mean,
so they need to pass edge pass rusher, basically.
I mean, they're going to look at a quarterback in the second and third round. I think that's where they're going to pick one up. And I see Gus Bradley kind of following in the footsteps of what happened while he was there in Seattle. Remember, the Seahawks landed a steal with Russell Wilson in the third round. I mean, everyone would agree, Russell Wilson isn't exactly an elite quarterback, but certainly worth the third-round pick. I mean, he's really exceeded expectations. So Jacksonville may look to Garoppolo or Aaron Murray. I'm seeing them attached to both those quarterbacks in the second round.
Do you think A.J. McCarron is a good quarterback, and could he make a big stand? He has, as you know, Mike. He's been on top. So can he be on top in the next level?
If he goes to the right team. If he goes to the right team, they need to have some pieces in place, and I don't think he necessarily should be put in a situation where he needs to start right away. I think if he got to sit a little bit, that might help him. A team that has a reliable run game, a team with a good defense, and good quarterback coaches. I mean, I could see him succeeding in the NFL. He's got to draw on some comparisons to Andy Dalton. So I think he could definitely get a team to a playoffs, but I don't necessarily see him getting to the Super Bowl.
Let me
I see him as like a blank effort.
1 second, Trent. Let me draw this perspective in the same note. Why is Johnny Manziel so ahead of A.J. McCarron on the draft board right now? What makes them that much different? Because he's more exciting to watch, but in reality, they're pretty equal on the teams that they face. They're pretty equal on what talent they have.
Or was that towards Trent or both of us?
Both of you guys.
I mean, trust me, you know what city I'm from, okay? I've watched plenty of Alabama and A&M games. Johnny Manziel's a better quarterback. Now, some of the off-the-field concerns or some of that, maybe his confidence or arrogance or whatever, maybe that will kind of draw some teams away from him, possibly for good reason. But Manziel's a better quarterback. As far as who's going to have the better NFL career, I don't know because it depends on where they go. But Manziel's definitely got more playmaking ability. I think he's a better passer. Keep in mind, Alabama had a great defense when McCarron was out in college, and Manziel had nothing on defense. Obviously had some talented receivers and offensive tackles, but so did McCarron. So I guess that's part of what you could take away from it.
What's your perspective on what we're saying?
On the Saints?
No. On what we were saying.
No, I completely agree.
Hey, I must have been a good guy today.
I agree with Michael completely. I think he touched on it all.
Yeah, and keep in mind the way the NFL is going. That's part of why Manziel's stock is helped is because of the success of guys like Colin Kaepernick and Russell Wilson. So the NFL is becoming more of this dual threat quarterbacks, and so that helps him. Without Russell Wilson's success, Manziel may not be a first round pick. So that's part of it.
That's part of it for sure. I still think you need to be a prototypical pocket passer to win in this league, but yeah.
The other guy who may surprise everyone is Derek Carr. Could he be a top 10 pick?
Yeah, I think he could. I think the most logical landing spot for him, the two most logical landing spots would be Oakland and Cleveland. And it's interesting, last month it was reported that the Raiders had a massive crush on Carr, and now it came out earlier today that the Browns really love Derek Carr. So it looks like those two teams may be competing for him. I could see him going in the top 10, but I think it's more likely that he goes towards the end of the first round or at the top of the second. Part of what worries me with Carr is his brother. I mean, he was a total bust, and it wasn't necessarily David's fault. I mean, he didn't have much to work with, but that's part of the drawback with me. And Carr isn't like a complete product. I mean, he put up tons of numbers at Fresno State, obviously, but he had plenty to work with, and really only 1 year of experience in a pro-style offense, and the rest was a lot of intermediate passes that really didn't challenge him downfield.
Do you believe, how about another quarterback out of LSU, Zach Mettenberger, who had his pro day, I believe, last week? Everybody was very excited of what it could do for a team. Do you think he might be a borderline, like not maybe a top 10 pick, but maybe a borderline first rounder?
For me, absolutely not. I'll admit I didn't see a whole lot of him in college, but what I did see was not good, and especially how he handled himself in some tough moments. I mean, he acted like a 4-year-old some of those times. Like you can look up the Alabama game. It was ridiculous the way he put on an act like that, but maybe he'll succeed. He kind of fits in the role as kind of what the league is going away from, sort of these kind of immobile standard pocket passers. It looks like he's going to be a second or third round pick, probably second, and he's been linked quite a bit to the Vikings lately. So watch out if Minnesota doesn't take Manziel or Bridgewater in the first round. You can probably expect him to go to Minnesota in the second. But I'm not buying Mettenberger so much.
I think I even have David Carr going to the Vikings in the first round, and I know the Vikings are in love, or I've heard they are in love with David Carr. You know, whether or not that's true or not, could just be a bunch of talk. But I have the same sort of issues with David Carr that you do, and you know, he's not really separating himself from his brother. You know, they're training together right now. Well, that's what he's been working. So
that might be really good, because you got to remember, David Carr knows the ins and the outs. He failed in the NFL. He wasn't star quarterback like he should have been as a first pick overall, but he could show his brother the things that you need to do to succeed, because he did not. You understand?
I mean, he can show him what not to do.
Yeah,
exactly. Tell him what not to do.
I think
don't throw an interception.
Some lessons that he can learn from his older brother.
He's probably one of the most mature on the field. You know?
I don't really know about his maturity level.
What? Would you rather have Johnny Manziel in your backfield your first year, or would you rather have Derek Carr? There's a good one.
I would rather have Manziel, personally.
Probably
I'm
Manziel.
not a big fan of Manziel, but I'd rather have him.
Manziel's been pretty professional, you know, as of late. You know, and I appreciate that.
Derek issues get the best of him.
I don't know. I think Manziel's a professional, and I think he's always been an NFL player, even at a college level. He sort of treated himself like that, separated himself, taking online classes mostly in his last year, you know. And at his pro day, if you watch him interview at his pro day, he was very professional, and, you know, he greeted everybody personally. And, I think I'd rather have Manziel. Because I don't really know anything. I don't really know anything about David Carr's maturity level, like, at all. So.
Yeah, it is worth noting. I have heard a little bit about Derek Carr in interviews, and supposedly he's really impressed people too. So I can't really knock him there for that. Because apparently he has 3 teams in love with him who all have top 10 picks. So that should be interesting. But I would rather have Manziel or Derek Carr.
And let me ask you guys this one. One more guy that we haven't regretted to mention that is the top 10 in the top 10 QB class is David Fallis out of San Jose State. We didn't mention him. He's also probably from a smaller school a little bit, not big, small school. But does he have a way to get in the second or third round? I know he's not a first rounder.
No, I mean, I kind of see him as a day 3 guy, maybe a little bit underrated. I can remember a time when, like, 10 of these quarterbacks were all seen as potential number 1 overall picks. And I remember David Fells, it was, I think, at the start of the season or just before the season when he was seen as that way. I mean, there are some major questions about his arm strength at the NFL level, but he is pretty accurate and patient in the pocket, and kind of drawn some comparisons to Andy Dalton as well. So I think he could add plenty of value, especially in the 4th or 5th round, but I definitely don't see him sneaking into the 1st or 2nd or probably not the 3rd round either.
Let's do this little fun game since we're talking about the quarterbacks. I'm going to mention your name, and then you can draw things to me, and then because we only got about 3 minutes more of airtime here, so let's just go through the quarterbacks that we mentioned. Give me the best team and best fit for them. How about start with Trent? Where do you think Blake Bortles will land when it comes to draft day?
I think he's going to go with the first pick overall. Like I have him in my mock draft to the Houston Texans, and I think he'll be a great fit for them.
Okay, Mike, Johnny Manziel.
I would say Minnesota or Cleveland. I think he's going to one of those 2 teams. I mean, I don't know which at this point, but I don't really see him going anywhere else.
Okay, and Teddy Bridgewater. I see him. I'm going to give him the 3rd one. I'll do. I'll say he's going to go to Cleveland, but not their first pick. I bet you they take him in their 2nd pick.
He could go to
26.
Yes. And that's the first round pick. They still do that. They did that many years ago. They took they still have the tackle, but they don't have the quarterback. And that was the Brady Quinn, Joe Thomas thing about 10 years ago back or something like that. And they did about the same thing. They had 2 picks in the draft. Yeah. And Joe Thomas, of course, is still one of the best linemen, and Brady Quinn was a waste. So that's a very good possibility there. So 4th guy is Derek Carr, and that goes to Trent.
Where do I think Derek Carr goes? I'm going to say the Vikings in the 1st round.
Okay. And Mike, A.J. McCarron.
Maybe the Jaguars. I don't know. Because he's kind of more of a 3rd or 4th round guy. So he
honestly,
could slide.
I have an interesting place for him to go.
Okay.
Cowboys. I was going to say maybe the Cowboys take a chance on him.
I could see that.
And then I'm going to say Aaron Murray. I think he still ends up with the Raiders eventually. And then back to you, Trent, with Zach Mettenberger.
Mettenberger? Maybe they, yeah. That's a good one. I could see maybe even the Jags in the 2nd round there, too. Honestly, with Mettenberger. I don't really know a lot about him. I've only done a little bit of reading on him, but maybe the Jags. What about you, Mike?
Yeah, I mean...
We'll go quick because we've got 20 seconds. I'm going to move. Yeah, go ahead.
I could say a couple of these quarterbacks are the same team, but I would guess Minnesota or Jacksonville.
How about him to the Saints? He's from LSU. Somebody needs to get a new addition to for who's gonna fix when Drew Brees retires in about 2 years. Somebody got to learn. How about Jimmy Garoppolo? Where do you guys see him falling?
Maybe Jacksonville. If Houston passes on
5 quarterbacks.
if Houston takes Clowney instead, which I don't think they'll do, but if they do, Garoppolo might make sense at the top of the second round for them.
Agreed. They want the Jaguars.
And
maybe
one more we're going to go on is it's a little bit over our time right now, but one more we're going to go with we talked about him, David Fallis, even though he's going to be a 4th round. Oh, we forgot to mention Taj Boyd. So how about one of you guys give me Taj Boyd, one of you guys give me David Fallis?
Taj Boyd, I'll say the Raiders.
That was back
David
in the
Fallis,
day
the
when you
Vikings.
said, no, well, we'll look at him, but I didn't hear any new
Tom
But that's he's now a 5th rounder, and they don't have a 5th rounder.
Tom Savage
I'm gonna say
is also
Fallis to the Vikings.
looks to be rising to the 2nd round. Tom Savage out of Pitt, so watch out for him as well.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot to mention Tom Savage. That's a good one. I like that guy too. That's another Raider quarterback too, or a Jaguars quarterback. Actually, the Raiders did bring him in last week.
Yeah, the Jaguars will just take all of those guys that I mentioned.
Anyway, you guys, thank you for joining us in today's show. Trent, thank you very much. Mike, thank you very much. You guys got 10 seconds, 15 seconds each to say your final 2 words, 3 words, to give him where we can reach you.
Yeah, follow me on Twitter at Trentisaro.
You can follow me on Twitter at @_Michael Gartman. And appreciate having Dayvon Ross on. That was good. Good podcast.
Yeah, really. Thank you, Dayvon Ross, and thank you for giving shout-outs to all those guys that got you on the right foot. I'm your host, Oren Sheary. You can follow us on NFL Draft Insiders and Mike at Gridiron Grit. And also look at our Facebook page, NFL Draft Insiders, and join us. Look at all the news and information around the NFL, around the draft, college football when it comes out. You can follow me on Twitter at NFL Oren Time. And we're out of here. Thank you very much.
Back to the draft. Running back, tackle, quarterback, temperature on the draft. There has been a trade. Ricky Williams. Welcome back to the draft. Defensive line, wide receiver.